Welcome to the news on Zodiac with me, Job Frank Chakaza. The headlines. President Chakwera calls on his fellow SADC leaders to join efforts if the bloc is to achieve its development agenda. First ladies in the SADC region say there is need to seriously invest in promotion of women and girl rights to eliminate challenges they face in the COVID-19 era. MHRC condemns the police for allegedly violating principles of human dignity in the way they treated activist Sylvester Namiwa. And agriculture commercialization drive receives a huge boost in Chikwawa. Now the news in detail. President Lazarus Chakwera, who has assumed the chairmanship of SADC, has called his fellow heads of state in the region to join efforts if the bloc is to achieve its development agenda. He spoke at the start of the opening of the 41st summit of the SADC heads of state and government in Lilongwe. Chimwemwe Padata was at the summit.
The new SADC chairperson, President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, reaffirmed his commitment to advance development ambitions in the SADC region as he assumed the chairmanship from Mozambique's President Filipe Nyusi. He thanked his Mozambique counterpart for the one-year leadership. Dr. Chakwera, in line with this year's SADC Heads of State and Government Summit, complained of growing disparities in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic as he fears not allowing all nations to equally access vaccines would riddle efforts to combat the pandemic.
Inequalities and disparities we are seeing in the distribution and production of COVID-19 vaccines are symptomatic of an old geopolitical framework that is no longer working, no longer sustainable, and no longer acceptable.
Dr. Chakwera said the SADC region bloc should refuse to be at the receiving end, but work in collaboration to achieve development agendas.
We, as Africans, have a moral duty to refuse second-class status in our participation in the United Nations decisions that affect the peace, stability, and sustainability of our world.
Outgoing SADC Executive Secretary Dr. Stergomena Tax of Tanzania during the summit mentioned a number of key areas that have registered success during her 8-year term in office. Some of these are strides in mobile penetration, microeconomic convergence, and enhancing peace and security in the region.
The region has made notable strides in terms of microeconomic convergence, industrialization, SADC intra-trade, regional access to energy, financial integration and inclusion, and the mobile penetration.
For Zodiac, this is Chimwemwe Padata.
Board chairperson for the Malawi Economic Justice Network, MEGIN, Bishop Martin Mtumbuka, has called on the new SADC chairperson, President Lazarus Chakwera, and other leaders to genuinely embrace the rule of law, arguing that lack of it is a breeding ground for corruption and other social ills in the region. He spoke on Tuesday in Lilongwe when he officially opened a 2-day Southern African People's Solidarity Network, SPASN Summit. SPASN is a Southern African regional network that gathers development NGOs and institutions, civil society organizations such as trade unions, churches, community-based movements with an aim of supporting marginalized communities. Ahmed Atapio was there.
Malawi Economic Justice Network MEGIN board chairperson Bishop Martin Mtumbuka observes that a lack of rule of law in SADC countries, including Malawi, is amplifying inequalities to the effect that the rich are getting richer through dubious corrupt means, while the poor are getting poorer and have no voice.
Human beings, although they are good, there is a tendency to be selfish. You want everything good to be only for yourselves. There has to be someone stopping them. So this is how states were created. Now, the real problem, the real culprit in our region that is keeping us poor is the lack of the rule of law. We have countries in the region, including our own, which have a lot of natural resources, but we're fighting all the time. Even if we're not fighting, only a few people are getting rich. Why? Because the rules and procedures are not being followed. So I'm trying to say, heads of state, we as CSOs, this is an aspect of governance that is very, very, very essential.
In her remarks, Presidential Advisor on Non-Governmental Affairs, Martha Kwataine, says the rule of law is a two-way thing.
I'm sure you might have heard that in the High Five agenda of Dr. Chakwera, rule of law is featuring highly. It's not just for maybe government officials, but even for the citizens. We also believe that the citizens must understand that rule of law cuts across. So you are not going to use a different yardstick for government and a different yardstick for the citizens. All of us, if we abide by the rule of law, there will be order in the country, there will be peace, we'll be able to progress. Nobody is above the law.
Meanwhile, Chairperson for Council of Non-Government Organizations in Malawi, Kongoma Kosa Muntali, describes the SAPIN Summit as a very important one.
This summit brings out issues to make sure that even the proposal from this discussion, according to the theme, elevating justice and peace, should help to feed into the resolutions that the SADC leaders, head of state, will be able to agree at the end of the day.
The People's Summit is being held under the theme Elevate Justice and Equality. For Zodiac, this is Madalito Piri reporting.
Meanwhile, international relations experts have challenged the incoming SADC chairperson, President Lazarus Chakwera, to follow laws in handling the Malawi-Tanzania Lake Malawi Rango. Dr. Boniface Dulani of the University of Malawi and Chimwemwe Tsitsi of the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences say Chakwera should handle the matter objectively and impartially. Haben Jalamano has filed this report from Blantyre.
Dr. Boniface Dulani from the University of Malawi says he expects President Lazarus Chakwera to advance interests of all SADC members, including his own country and that of Tanzania. Chakwera is taking the chairmanship of the regional bloc from his Mozambican counterpart, Philip Nyusi, at a time that Malawi is embroiled in a Lake Malawi boundary dispute with neighboring Tanzania.
If you look at the objectives of SADC, they are supposed to bring the whole region together, to alleviate poverty, to promote peace and security at the regional level, as well as economic growth. The best option for President Chakwera is to promote this notion of regional integration so that we should not even be as worried about our borders.
On the other hand, Chimwemwe Tsitsi, who lectures in international relations at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, MOBUS, says the incoming chairperson should look at the treaties guiding boundaries in handling the issue.
He should stick to the guns with regard to this dispute that in line with the international treaties which all African countries follow, and the chief of which is the treaty to do with how borders should be considered after attainment of independence by African states through the African Union.
Malawi disputes Tanzania's claim to half of Lake Malawi, Africa's third largest.
Now, First Ladies in the SADC region say there is need to seriously invest in promotion of women and girls' rights to eliminate challenges they face in the COVID-19 era. During the virtual SADC First Ladies Summit on the impact of COVID-19, hosted by First Lady Monica Chakwera, the Malawi First Lady, and the First Lady for Botswana, Neo Jane Masisi, cited challenges such as high school dropout rate among girls and increasing cases of gender-based violence as some of those that need urgent attention. Winston Kaimira reports.
As the SADC heads of state were attending the 41st SADC Summit, First Lady Monica Chakwera was hosting the SADC First Ladies Virtual Summit at Kamuzu Palace in Lilongwe. In her remarks, Chakwera said there's need to seriously invest in promotion of women's and girls' rights as the COVID-19 pandemic has brought in devastating challenges on people's livelihood. The First Lady said there's need to plan for interventions that target women and girls on COVID-19 recovery phases in SADC member states.
We should be including everyone. I liked the inclusion of the young girl so that we can get solutions from wider space. The young girls may come up with better solutions that we can think of. So together we'll do much better, and seeing what works in which country and then even trying those solutions.
On her part, First Lady of Botswana, Neo Jane Masisi, concurred with Chakwera that the COVID-19 pandemic has contributed to an increase in cases of gender-based violence. She said in Botswana, laws have been amended to ensure convicts in the criminal cases get stiffer punishments. Masisi also emphasized on the need for serious investments to effectively mainstream gender in various programs. Similar challenges were also raised by other first ladies, such as of Mozambique. Machel Phiri, who represented the youth of Malawi, said there's need to do more in promoting girls' education in the COVID-19 era, especially in rural areas. The First Ladies Summit was held under the theme, The Impact of COVID-19 on Women and Girls in the SADC region and How the Recoveries Can be Gender Responsive. Winston Kaimira reporting for Zodiac in Lilongwe.
Political commentators have faulted major political parties for delaying to fill up vacant positions, saying such tendencies pose serious threats in safeguarding intra-party democracy. Josh Phiri and Wanda Funkuche told Zodiac that political parties need to have a clear direction in their constitutions of filling up such positions on time. Meanwhile, Malawi Congress Party MCP spokesperson Maurice Muntali says the party will soon announce the dates when it will fill up two key positions of first vice president, which was occupied by late Siddiq Mia, and that of director of social welfare, held by late Lingison Bereganyama.
Political commentators George Phiri and Wanda Funkuche say political parties need to be exemplary in promoting intra-party democracy. Phiri from Livingstonia University says there is need for political parties to have clear plans of filling up vacant positions on time.
Revise the constitution so that they do it in a way that it is acceptable following democratic principles.
On his part, Nkuche says appointing authorities in political parties should move in fast to fill up the vacant positions.
Most of our parties, they do not work from the ground to the upper hierarchy. So that is why as long as the president is around, they don't really care what is happening on the ground.
Meanwhile, Malawi Congress Party MCP spokesperson Reverend Maurice Muntali says the party will soon make a formal announcement on when to fill up two key positions of first vice president, which was occupied by late Siddiq Mia, and director of social welfare, which was held by Lingson Bereganyama.
Our party headquarters, the leadership, has looked into all angles of this issue, knowing that it is very important for the positions in the party to be filled.
The other political party which has notable unfilled positions is United Democratic Front, UDF, where some key members like organizing secretary for the youth, Ellen Kadango, and vice president for the South, Lance Mbewe, dumped the party. Reporting for Zodiac from Blantyre, this is Christopher Sunday.
You're watching the news here on Zodiac. We'll be back with more after this.
Sompenya amalawi watukula malawi 2063 akale wozimia bae ufika 2063 akale wokomera aliyense achinyamata tikwira ne manja tukula malawi achinyamata tikale patsogolo tukula malawi malawi wozimia bae malawi wokomera aliyense Malawi 2063 kusintha dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
We are Charismatic Private School. Charismatic Private School is informing the general public that it is opening day and boarding school at Filipina Memorial School. Charismatic School has kindergarten, primary and secondary school. The school has school buses which ferry learners around Lilongwe. Charismatic School has conducive learning environment suiting your child. Charismatic School is situated at Area 22B and Kapini, while Filipina Memorial Boarding School is situated at Area 23, Benito, Lilongwe. For more information, contact Charismatic School on the following numbers. Charismatic Filipina, creating brighter society.
Malawi Assemblies of God University, a reputable university registered and accredited by Malawi government through the National Council for Higher Education, is pleased to announce its August 2021 intake. Programs offered: Faculty of Commerce, Faculty of Education, and Faculty of Theology. For more information, contact 0884 538 163.
Welcome back. A look at the headlines as we continue. Moving on with the Times, the Human Rights Commission has condemned the Malawi Police Service for allegedly violating principles of human dignity in the way they treated activist Sylvester Namiwa during a 2-day detention. A statement released this morning said the police treated Namiwa as a prisoner, placing him under arrest in Lake Irons, and took him to Dedza, even when his alleged offense was committed in Lilongwe. The commission is thus demanding an independent investigation into what happened. We spoke to Malawi Human Rights Commission spokesperson Kate Kujaliwa.
We see that Mr. Namiwa was roughed up and manhandled during the arrest, which is not right and contrary to Section 42 of the Constitution. He was not arrested in a dignified manner, and we are saying the police had no right to take Mr. Namiwa to Lintipe Police Unit when the events that led to his arrest took place in Lilongwe. We do not know why. We are yet to hear from the police for justification, if any, why they decided to follow this process. Doing this thing contravened the Constitution, Section 42, because the Section 42 clearly states that every arrested person must be held under conditions that are consistent with human dignity. But to see that Mr. Namiwa was put in leg irons, and he was also handcuffed, he was kept in an isolation cell, he was taken away from his relations, from legal counsel in the police unit, and was not allowed to communicate to anyone, let alone being given police bail. We see that there's a lot of human rights violations that took place, hence our condemning this act by the police.
Agriculture commercialization drive has received a huge boost in Chikwawa as Prescane, the manufacturers of fuel ethanol, says it will plant a sugarcane mill which gives farmers a readily available market. The development follows determination by smallholder farmers under Kama Cane Sugar, or rather Cane Growers Cooperative, to open a 2,000-hectare sugarcane estate. Agriculture Minister Robin Lowe has described the initiative as a right step towards wealth creation. From Chikwawa, here's Masozi Kasambara with a report.
Prescane, the manufacturers of fuel ethanol, is a subsidiary of Press Corporation. At present, Prescane Distillery relies on Irovo Sugar Company as a source of feedstock. The raw materials from Irovo Company, however, are not enough to meet the demand by Prescane Distillery. As a result, Prescane has been importing raw materials from neighboring Zambia and Mozambique. Authorities say the importation is not only expensive, but also a lost economic opportunity for local cane growers. Prescane has since challenged smallholder farmers to venture into a fully-fledged cane growing, saying the market is readily available. Company Chief Executive Officer is Dr. Christopher Guta.
Assistance that we can give them is to assure them of a market. And as a company, we are doing everything possible to ensure that that market becomes available. But the tricky situation is that for us to say, yes, we should invest into the sugarcane mill, there must be 100% or even 101% assurance that the sugarcane will become available.
On their part, the farmers under Kama Cane Growers Cooperative have earmarked a 2,000-hectare land for cane growing. Chairperson responsible is Collins Mtarika.
Our relationship is good because at each and every step we are doing it together. There is no hide and seek arrangement. Everything is done in a transparent and accountable manner.
Agriculture Minister Robin Lowe says the plans by Prescane and smallholder farmers is a right step towards food and wealth creation, which is in tandem with Agenda 2063.
I find the relationship being
cordial and very fruitful, considering that farmers seem to enjoy that relationship compared to other engagements whereby farmers are just used. But here it seems farmers know what they are doing and their benefit. That's why my ministry is able to engage agriculture commercialization project, the source of funding, to make sure that they intervene.
If Presken plants a sugarcane mill and the farmers open a 2,000-hectare sugarcane estate, reduction of unemployment levels will be one of the many benefits of the initiative. For Zodiac, Masos Kasambala reporting from Chikwawa.
The Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Authority, PPDA, says adherence to public procurement regulations could assist the country in closing the economic gap between the rich and the poor. Chairperson for the Technical Committee of the PPDA board, Sam Chimanganga, said following regulations will see Malawians being prioritized in public procurement, money changing hands amongst them, creating jobs and other opportunities within themselves. Rafael Mlozov had this report.
Chairperson of the Technical Committee of the PPDS board, Sam Chimanganga, says public procurements are done using taxes and should therefore be safeguarded. He said by any means the three elements of Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Act, which are fairness and equal opportunity, transparency and accountability, and value for money, should be complied with. Chimanganga says procurement officers should therefore have in mind and implement the 20% margin in a bid to prioritize indigenous black Malawians in public procurement.
Can public disposal entities provide a chance for small businesses to participate in public procurement? Because when those small businesses are participating, they will create jobs. They will employ one or two of our relations, and eventually money will be circulating amongst ourselves.
Dr. Emmanuel Fabiano, chairperson of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation Committee for MEG, said the commission handles big budgets and most of it goes to procurement of goods and services. He says it was imperative that everyone in the commission be conversant with procurement process.
So basically it is to improve the operations of the Malawi Electoral Commission, and not necessarily that we didn't know, because the Malawi Electoral Commission has existed all these years. According
to Fabiano, the training is in line with strategic plan of MEG for 2018-2022, where it emphasizes of having well-trained workforce. For ZBS, this is Rafael Mlozowa reporting.
And that's about what we had time for in this news edition. But before we go, elu.com for more news. My name is Job Frank Chakaza. Thanks for watching.
At Mukuru, we make local money transfers easy.